let's go to the Indianapolis Colts at the Cleveland Browns. 3-1 versus 3-1. I don't know if that's necessarily a surprise, but I think the way the teams have gotten here is fascinating, right? The Cleveland is starting to round into form offensively. We've talked about Baker Mayfield maybe being a passenger along the way, not the conductor on this offense. And the Indianapolis Colts, our highest graded defense, and a team that, for whatever it's worth, when you're trying to predict defense going forward, the Colts have played extremely well on that side of the ball this year, flying to the football, making plays, making life difficult for opposing offenses.
Yeah, so the Browns season is kind of fascinating, right? You've got this week one disaster that I think was probably inevitable given the things they were changing in the offseason and the fact that there was no offseason. Then you have this sequence of, I think, progressively stiffer tests. You have the Bengals, which is about as easy as it could get, and consequently they look great. The next game, it's like, okay, Washington can at least bring some pressure and cause you problems in the pocket, and let's see how that works. Easily dealt with that. Then you have Dallas. Now, Dallas's defense is garbage, but the Cowboys can hang points on you, so they can at least force you to keep scoring and to be impressive on offense and to get it done. Now you get the next test because you're facing an actual good defense, like a legitimate D that can pressure you, that can cover on the back end. Now your offense has to show that it's not just functional against bad competition, but that it actually works, period. And it's a great opportunity for Baker Mayfield, even if he has been a relative passenger, to show that he can still be at that level against a better defense. So I'm genuinely fascinated to see if this Browns offense can stay legit against a good defense like Indianapolis. That's the thing that I'm most interested in.
Yeah, Indianapolis' defense near the top in pretty much everything from a ranking standpoint. As I mentioned, overall defense, they have the highest grade. From a coverage standpoint, they have the highest grade. Pass rush is 7th. So, it's only 4 games. They've only given up 56 points total, with 27 of those coming against the Jaguars. Last 3 games, 11, 7, and 11. So it's a nice little stretch. We always point to the opponent. Yeah, the Jets, Foles-led Bears, which could be all over the place. But yeah, holding the Vikings to 11, which even with Justin Jefferson's breakout the last couple of weeks, the Colts have done a pretty nice job. The thing I'm looking for on offense for the Browns, too, Wyatt Teller is our highest graded guard ever through 4 weeks. We're talking better than Evan Mathis, better than Zach Martin, Marshall Yanda, Wyatt Teller, and shout out to PFF Timo, who wrote a piece about just progression. And I cite this all the time. And we studied this years ago. We've been here for years, right? But we never had that full-on R&D team the way we do. We studied it a little bit, and we came up with the idea that, offensive linemen take a little bit longer to progress. Mm-hmm. Put a little bit more hard numbers to it, and it was like year 3 and 4. Legitimately the year where, guys can take a step forward. We're actually seeing this across the league. Austin Corbett with the Rams, and Wyatt Teller now in year 3, the highest graded guard right now, absolutely mauling Cowboys interior defensive linemen last week. So I just think it's great. We'll talk more about that concept, I think, in the offseason as we do team building stuff. But I just love it. Like, if you have a chance to steal a third-year guard who struggled elsewhere, like Wyatt Teller did with the Bills, and you bring him in. I know I'm just talking about a guard here, but it's just an awesome piece of the team building strategy. Plus, credit Bill Callahan, the offensive line coach, who's had a lot of success with those types of players.
Well, also this just the guard thing. I mean, Nick Chubb goes down and there's 0 drop off, right?
Yes.
Now Kareem Hunt, I think, is also a legitimate top 5, top 10 running back talent, but they also had 2 other guys carrying the ball who continued to have 5 yards per carry. Like, if you have a guard who is burying defensive tackles into the turf or just eradicating them from their gap, it doesn't matter who the running back is, because that's the thing that's going to generate the rushing success. So this idea of, it's just a guard, guards aren't valuable. Guards might genuinely have a significantly bigger impact than a top running back, because they can open up those holes if they're playing at that kind of level.
In especially in a run-heavy attack. So keep an eye, if you're going to be watching the trenches there, DeForest Buckner, highest-graded defender for the Colts. His matchups with Wyatt Teller, when they're opposite each other, Buckner has a 90-plus pass rush grade so far this season, 15 pressures, and that has looked like a really nice move for the Colts, which I thought at the time, I loved the move for the Niners because they weren't going to be able to pay Buckner. But it was also, you talked about it a lot, it was a good move for the Colts because they had the money.
Well, they had the money, and they were happy to give that to the guy that had been in San Francisco. Like, so far, he's on course for a way better season than he ever had with the 49ers. And they were happy to spend the first-round pick and the giant contract on that guy. Like, if you were happy about that, how much happier are you going to be that he's on track for like a 10-point grading bump this season? Like, they must be loving life in terms of how the Buckner thing has worked out through the first month.
Yeah, and I think the story of this Colts defense is they've spent so many years just adding young guys to the mix, and you got a Darius Leonard who has played like a top 101 player, I would say, and one of the best linebackers in the league. But the contribution they're getting from Buckner, the contribution they're getting from ex-Xavier Rhodes, and from Justin Houston, who's been there, but it's the veterans combined with the youth movement that they've had over there in Indy, and this is starting to finally come together. So I'm going to love this matchup against the Browns. Colts by 1.5 on the road here. You talked about the Browns maybe playing it closer with the Cowboys than we expected last week, and they crushed them. You believe in the Browns again this week?
No. I think against a better defense and against a good defense, we're going to see some more struggles. And I don't think we've seen yet that this offense functions when it's struggling. Like, we've seen, if everything goes well, like, this is the kind of offense as well. We saw this with the Vikings at times. When things go well, it looks great. When things don't go so well, it doesn't have as many answers, and it tends to struggle a little bit. And I think that's where I get these sort of Kirk Cousins feels about the Baker Mayfield situation again, right? It's for the same reasons that when things kind of go badly, he doesn't really feel like the quarterback that's going to make up the difference. So I think the Colts defense will cause problems, and I don't know that Baker Mayfield is going to be the guy that offsets that difference and means that you won't see the drop-off.
So I'm going to lean Colts, but I think it's going to be because Phillip Rivers has got to make some plays in this one. They're going to rely on Rivers a little bit more than they've had to the last few weeks. He has not thrown the ball down the field all that well, but I think they're going to need to. The pressure watch, 27 pressures all season. I don't have any cool numbers that show like, hey, he got pressured 27 times, like 5 different. He may have actually been with the Chargers 27 times in a game. That probably happened a few times.
Well, there was a game where Dombrowski coughed up like 18, so
true.
That could have hit 27 easily, right?
So, yeah, only 27 times pressured for Phillip Rivers through 4 games. So keep an eye on the O-line and Myles Garrett moving around. And I picked Myles Garrett as Defensive Player of the Year coming in. That could be one of my actual only predictions that comes true with his 3 forced fumbles, getting after it. So.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.